From Colin Farrell coming back as the star of the show to the franchise's future riding on this spin-off release. Here's everything we know about the Penguin so far. Everyone's hyped up about this release, and for a good reason. Just take a look at the cast! The filmmakers pick out the best of the best, though the cream of the crop has to be the main star, Colin Farrell. You finally get to see more of him in the role of the Penguin himself, not to mention the fact that his Golden Globes win for Banshees of Inisherin is fresh, making him an actor to watch out for. Remember Kristen Milioti from How I Met Your Mother? She's joining him as a regular, and playing none other than the iconic Sophia Falcone, Farrell's character's rival. They're going to be duking it out a lot, all to take over Gotham. The cast has some other big names as well. According to Variety, you've got stars like Michael Kelly, Deirdre O'Connell, and Shora Agdashlu, though DC is keeping quiet about their roles right now. Other sources claim that Michael Zagan is going to be playing Alberto Falcone, along with Francois Chow, David H. Holmes, Carmen Ejogo, and James Madio, all having some pretty great roles of their own. Who could forget about Theo Rossi from Sons of Anarchy possibly being in The Penguin? DC is bringing in other characters for cameos too. When was the last time you saw a cast this stellar? Despite an amazing cast, you might have noticed that someone's missing. Batman himself. Is there any chance that Robert Pattinson will be in the show? Could you even have a Batman show without one of the best versions of the hero? Of course not. Even if he is in the show, he isn't going to be around a lot of the time. He'll probably just make an appearance here and there to beat the bad guys up. But that's about it. Why's that? They need to show you just how interconnected all the stories are. And for that, all kinds of characters are going to show up in The Penguin from time to time. No one wants a spin-off that's completely disconnected from the original. If recent rumors are anything you want to take seriously, then you can almost be sure that Pattinson's Batman is part of the show. He's only going to be there to help make the plot more complex, because he's not the star of the show here. You can't deny that his cameo would boost the viewership by a lot. Nothing about Batman being in the show is confirmed just yet, but at the same time, rumors hint at his appearance being a surprise. That's exactly why he's not even on the cast list, which makes sense if you think about it. I'm guessing he's going to show up in one of the most intense moments of the show. Who'd want to spoil that in any way for all the fans? Especially when the crew is working so hard putting it all together. Just when you thought the good news would end, they stepped it up a notch and gave the show to the Batman director, Matt Reeves. This time, he's putting on his executive producer hat. He's joined by none other than Dylan Clark, the very same person behind the Planet of the Apes series, Bird Box, and of course, the same Batman film. You can be sure these two will make sure that the show is just as great as the movie was. To help them out with that, they've also got Lauren LaFranc as the writer. He's the force behind Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's definitely going to be bringing the same magic to the screen with this show. If Farrell's comments are anything you want to believe, which you should, then LaFranc will be writing all of the episodes. But what's a good script without good direction? Unfortunately, Christopher Reeves isn't going to be behind the camera this time, but fear not, you've got an incredible lineup here. The best of it has to be Mayor of Easttown's Craig Zobel, who not only made an iconic show with Kate Winslet, but also won an Emmy for it. Craig's directing only the first 2 episodes of the show, and there's not a lot of information about who's going to take over the position after that. On the other hand, to give some consistency to the production, Michael Marino, prosthetics expert and the makeup artist from The Batman, is making a comeback for the show. Pretty cool, right? Unfortunately, here's where the good news ends for a bit. The film and spin-off are not going to be a part of the DCEU. What's the franchise's future in DC? Instead of just being another DC show, The Penguin, along with The Batman, is going to be a part of the Elseworlds universe, turning them more into short stories or alternate universe versions of what's considered canon. It's a huge bummer, you know, that the actual superhero franchise is nowhere near as good, but I guess something is better than nothing. That's not where the bad news ends. Since they're under a different name, that means there's no way that a crossover would be possible. No Joaquin Phoenix's Joker popping in randomly, and a completely different cast for all those iconic portrayals of characters you've grown to love. On the other hand, these films that are unrelated to the DCEU are probably going to keep coming. Who knows? They might do better than the mainline movies. If that does happen, there's a solid chance that stories from Elseworlds make it into the DCEU. But whether or not that happens, there's no denying that you're getting the show of a lifetime with the Penguin, especially with the incredible plot. The show's going to be a bridge between the first film and the sequel that's going to come out eventually. It's going to start from where the story ended in The Batman. And this time, it's going to be focused on the criminal life of Gotham. With Falcone arrested, all of the bad guys are going to be fighting for control. It's during that time when you see how the Penguin gets so powerful. Reeves talked about it, saying that the whole thing would be very similar to Scarface. On the other hand, the head of originals over at Max, Sarah Aubrey, talked about it as well, saying that this time you're going to get this particular villain's perspective into the city as he outsmarts all the other big bads in his way. The Penguin's going to show you everything on a street level. I'm talking little stories that flesh out this character as much as possible with a bunch of twists, eventually leading up to the badass version of him in the sequel. Now that's how you pull off a character-based spin-off. Though some of you might say that the show Gotham already covered all of it, but trust me, you're getting a different story this time from a separate point of view. So, when is it coming out? As exciting as the whole thing is, I have to be the bearer of bad news here and say that there isn't an official date out for it yet. Again, the show was recently announced, so it makes sense that it might take the producers some time to spill some more tea, or give us a trailer or two. But what I do know is that the show's going to be out on HBO's streaming service, and it's expected to get a trailer once filming is done and dusted. You can expect that to happen soon, if they're focused on the details. The show is connecting all the missing dots about Gotham. A trailer release might come sometime around the end of or later in 2023, with 2024 still an option. Some sources like Screen Rant are convinced that the trailer will be coming out in early 2024, if there aren't any delays. Once again, they started filming in February, so don't be surprised if it takes longer than expected, especially with the writer's strike issue going on. There's a lot riding on the show. It's a story that's never been told before, all wrapped up in 8 episodes, so a lot is at stake here. If you ask me, I think it's better if the production takes its sweet time. Why? Because no one wants another rushed show that leaves us with tons of unanswered questions, especially not about Gotham. So let's cross our fingers that we get exactly what we're expecting from the show. So from the franchise's future riding on this spin-off release to Colin Farrell making his comeback as the Penguin, that's been a look at everything you need to know about the Penguin.
This is one of those moments.